All right, let's talk about a feeling that so many high achievers know, but almost nobody talks about. That weird, hollow feeling you get right after a huge success. And I want to be clear from the start this has nothing to do with being ungrateful. It has everything to do with how your brain is wired. I mean, really think about it. You push for months, maybe years for that big goal, the degree, the promotion, the project. You finally cross the finish line, and what happens? Just silence. You're expecting this massive wave of relief, right? Or at least a little surge of pride. That's what everyone tells you is supposed to happen. But nope, it's just not there. And in the space where that good feeling should be, there's just this void. It's confusing. It's this hollow sensation right where the celebration should be. And it's wild because before you can even process that emptiness, your brain has already jumped to the next thing, anxiety. You start thinking, okay, what did I miss? What's about to go wrong? Who's going to be the first person to find the flaw in this? So, look, if any of this sounds familiar, I need you to hear this loud and clear. This is not a character flaw. You are not broken. This is the totally logical result of a brain that was built for survival. A brain that just wasn't taught that it's okay for good things to actually stick around. So let's get into the why. Let's start with the neuroscience because it's pretty fascinating. Why does the ADHD brain have such a hard time just registering a win? Well, it really all boils down to a chemical disconnect happening right at that finish line. Think of it this way. For a neurotypical brain, when you complete something, it's like a clear, satisfying ding. You get a solid hit of dopamine and you feel good. But for the ADHD brain, that signal is often more like a weak, staticky whisper. And when your brain expects that big ding but gets radio silence, well, anxiety absolutely loves to rush in and fill that quiet space. So your brain didn't fail to feel proud because there's something wrong with you. It's because its reward pathway just isn't wired the way everyone told you it should be. You might have spent years thinking the problem was your attitude, when in reality, it was a neurological gap nobody ever explained to you. Now, this chemical thing, it doesn't just stay in your head. Over time, it actually builds into a learned physical response. For so many of us with ADHD, finishing something big doesn't feel like safety. It feels an awful lot like danger. It's like your nervous system goes through this training program over and over again. It learns this sequence. First, you finish something. That makes you visible. And being visible means you are now open for business for judgment and criticism. After a while, your brain just shortcuts the whole process and learns a new, simpler equation: completion equals danger. And that just captures the whole thing, doesn't it? This isn't just pessimism, it's a trained survival instinct. It's this cruel, twisted paradox where the more heart and soul you pour into something, the more exposed and vulnerable you feel at the end. Your greatest efforts create your greatest sense of risk. Of course, this internal wiring doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It gets reinforced time and time again by our environment, especially if we grew up in what you might call a culture of correction. Does any of that sound a little too familiar? Yeah. For a brain that's already struggling to get that internal thumbs up, hearing this kind of stuff constantly is just devastating. It confirms the brain's deepest, darkest suspicion that nothing you do will ever be good enough. So, what does your brain do? It creates this exhausting protection mechanism. It basically learns to find the flaw in your own work before anyone else can. You stay on high alert, always scanning, always auditing your own stuff, because that feeling of it's not quite done yet feels so much safer than the potential criticism that comes with saying, I'm finished. And when you put all of this together, the brain chemistry, the learned fear, the outside voices, it all culminates in this really powerful and painful experience, especially for people who, by every single outside metric, are incredibly successful. You can literally have the degrees on the wall, the accolades, the respect from everyone around you, and still wake up every single morning feeling like you're just one mistake away from being completely exposed as a fraud. That's the imposter phenomenon. And it's like playing on expert mode with ADHD because that internal feedback system that's supposed to say, hey, you got this, you're good, is the very system that's all dysregulated. This is why it is so, so important to reframe this feeling. The old story you've been telling yourself is that this is a character flaw, that you're insecure or you're ungrateful. But the new truth, the real truth, is that this is a neurological gap. It's the logical result of your brain's unique wiring. It was never about your character. Okay, so that's the heavy stuff. The big question is, what can you actually do about it? Well, the good news is you can start to actively retrain these patterns. You can start to teach your brain that it is finally safe to celebrate a win. Here are three concrete things you can do. First, document your completions. Seriously, the ADHD brain has terrible object permanence for achievements. If you can't see it, it basically doesn't exist. So create an external hard drive for your wins and note on your phone, a folder of screenshots, a physical done list. Second, when your brain starts that frantic audit for flaws, you have to learn to interrupt it. Just pause. And third, co regulate. This one is huge. Find one safe person who can hold the win with you, someone who can just be proud for you without immediately asking, so what's next? Sharing that emotional win is powerful medicine. And this question, this is your magic wand for interrupting the audit. The second that anxiety starts to bubble up after a success, just stop, take a breath, and ask yourself this. You might not have a clear answer right away, and that is perfectly okay. The practice is in the pause itself. You're creating a tiny bit of space between the achievement and the anxiety, and right there in that little gap, that's where the rewiring starts. As we wrap up, I really want you to honor this part of you. You are not built wrong. Your brain developed this incredible system of high alert vigilance because it was designed to protect you. And you know what? It worked. It got you through. But that constant survival mode isn't the only mode you need anymore. The work moving forward isn't about fighting your brain. It's about gently teaching it that the war it's been fighting is over. It's safe now. You can stand down. You can actually rest. You've done the surviving. The work now is learning that surviving isn't the ceiling. You are allowed to actually arrive at the finish line. You are allowed to stay there for a moment. You are allowed to look at what you've built and believe that it is real and that is enough.